Hey, Eddie, up here for thinking, sunshine, and down there for walking. If you can imagine me as being, because it's so deep down here, I've just decided that imagine me being the Titanic. Right, so I am the Titanic, and it comes from.
It's gone.
Why is she going down?
There's a little gleam of light. Hello? Anybody there? No answer. Not that I'm surprised, mind you. I've been down here for nearly 100 years, and there's never ever been anybody out there. Gosh, it's lonely. Lonely, cold and wet. Especially wet. Well, it would be, wouldn't it? Thousands of feet at the bottom of the ocean floor. Dark too. Talk about the place where the sun never shines. I often think that I want to be saved. Then I say to myself, who in their right mind wants to save you? The trouble is, you see, I'm a loser, and nobody likes a loser. They ignore you, they cast you aside, they throw you away like an old boot. Or an old boat, even. Hello? Anybody there? Do you know, I'm sure I saw a light just then. Must have been one of those fancy phosphorescent fish. You try saying that with a mouthful of seawater. Well, it's certainly not anybody looking for me. Forgotten I am. Forgotten and invisible. Wasn't always like this, you know. No, they were full of praises when I could have been in the 1912 Guinness Book of Records, the biggest passenger ship ever built and the fastest liner ever to go to America. And they said I was unsinkable. Unbloody sinkable. Fat chance. Sank on my maiden voyage I was. Me and all those innocent passengers. And as for having those plonkers on board from the White Star Line, making me go faster and faster and faster. I mean, my boilers were doing their pieces and my pistons was going up and down like... Well, you don't want to know what my pistons were doing. And all of that in the middle of a big, fat iceberg warning. I mean, you'd think that'd have more sense, wouldn't you? Load of chinless wonders. Chinless society blunders, that's what I call them. No, it wasn't my fault. They were making me go too fast, and I couldn't see a foot in front of me bows. They had no radar. I mean, it was touch and go in those days. I touch and I go. Right down to the bottom of the ocean floor. Me and all those innocent passengers. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to cope, you know, thinking about it. You know, I have these philosophical thoughts about how things could have been. You know, how things the way they happened. I could have been famous, me, the biggest the biggest passenger ship in the world. And what happens? I meet Mr. Iceberg himself, Mr. Rigid and Frigid. And then it's all hands on deck, man the lifeboats, we're going down. All thoughts of fame and fortune gone forever. No such thing as I'm a celebrity wreck, get me out of here. No, not for me. No. Hello. There's a light again. It's one of those deep sea diving bells. And it's coming my way. I'm over here. Over here, you plonker. No, not that way. Left hand down a bit. Left hand, man. Left. Oh, no. he's missed me again. I suppose that's another 90 some odd years of oblivion. Thank you very much. Like I said, Eddie and I have been friends. I think I brought my children down here when they were about 6, something like that, all those. Not so many years ago, was it, Andrea? No, not those. Many years ago, but I've just had a conversation with a gentleman, he's in here somewhere, and he said, oh, Eddie and Jenny have owned this, oh, they must be 25, 30 years, and I went, a lot longer than that, and he went, when do you reckon they owned it? And I went, I reckon, I'll say 1968. Well, I went and asked Jenny, and apparently it was 1967. So I was at... You're shaking your head, Eddie?
No, you reach the age when you start to forget things.
Yeah. I asked your wife. She's there, Anyway, well, you obviously all know Eddie and Jenny, but you don't know me. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. You see, I'm a pushing young man that's been pushed. My heart has been cannoned and cushed. Now, I've heard about some people falling in love, but I didn't fall. I was pushed. I pushed Miss Bull over while pushing my bike. Next day I went round to Miss Bull. Her bell push said push. So I pushed her bell push. The next time it says push, I shall pull. She pushed me into the parlour. She pushed the parlour door. She pushed herself upon my knee. She pushed her kisser in front of me. She pushed me off to the jeweller's near the hippodrome. She pushed me off to the clergyman, and then she pushed me home. I need a little bit of help here, and it goes ra-da-da-da-da-da-da. And one more. Ra-da-da-da-da-da. Her parents pushed in and said, ah, it's time you were married, old toff. So they pushed me to church, and they pushed up behind, and then pushed round in case I pushed off. The clergyman pushed on his nightgown and prayed and said, push off, you're both wed. Well, I pushed so much wine down my throat that by 9, her family pushed me off to bed. She pushed me into the parlour. She pushed the parlour door. She pushed herself upon my knee, pushed her kisser in front of me. She pushed me off to the jeweller's near the hippodrome, pushed me off to the clergyman, and then she pushed me home. Ra-da-da-da-da-da. Ra-da-da-da-da-da. I've very near been pushed off this earth. This marriage is making me thin. My wife says I've got one foot in the grave and she'll push the other one in. I've had the push for me job and I'm pushed for the rent. I think I'll push myself under a tram. And it's marvellous through pushing me bike. I now push 3 kids in a pram. She pushed me into the parlour. She pushed the parlour door. She pushed herself upon my knee, pushed her kisser in front of me. She pushed me off to the jeweller's near the hippodrome. She pushed me off to the clergyman, and then she pushed me home.